Hi, good morning, folks. Today I'm going to start the first of what's going to hopefully turn into a series of videos on repairing household appliances and other items. I've determined over the years that the skill set I developed repairing electronic equipment can often be used to repair household appliances, cars, all kinds of different things. So today I wanted to start with the Roomba. Now, the Roomba was purchased after the entire house was tiled, and a lot of cats I'm caring for, and a rabbit because they all needed homes in any event. A lot of animal fur, human fur, and although I was skeptical about the Roomba at first, it turned out to be a boon. The thing does a really good job, but like anything else, it needs a certain amount of maintenance, and I've had this one for a number of years, so there's repair involved as well. So the first thing we're going to cover is just basic maintenance, things that you have to do to the Roomba to keep it working in the most optimum way. And then I'll show you the items I've repaired on this particular unit. They're very well designed, very modular, so repair is actually quite simple. But there's a few caveats, and we're going to cover those as well. So, on to strictly maintenance. Okay, well, first, the most basic thing you have to do to maintain your Roomba is to dump the dirt tray. Now, this has a lever that comes out. It's been dumped already. All you have to do is just dump this in the trash. Very important, when you put it together and go to put it back in, make sure it seats well and clicks into place. I have had this thing happily trundle around the house with the dirt bin sitting in the corner because it fell out because I neglected to push it in all the way. The other thing is, you want to make sure that you have a good clean filter in here. Now, you saw the dust when I took this off. I have a few of these, and what I do is I'll take this dirty one and I'll put it under a sink and take an old toothbrush I keep under there and scrub it off real good, put it on the windowsill to dry, put the other one in it, and if you have 2 of them or 3 of them, whatever, that works out really well. That way you always have a clean filter in here. You don't have to do it every time, but depending on how dusty your house is, you can see there's a lot of dust there. You may want to do it every 3rd or 4th time you dump it. This bar goes back in. This one's a little worn, but it does seat into place. Most of the time, it seats into place whenever the camera's not running. How about that? Jeez. All right, so this goes back in here. Now, the other things that need to be done are under here. Now, you can see there's a lot of hair around these bristles. Human hair is the worst because of its length, but animal hair is a problem too. So we lift this up like that. See, there's wads of fur and dust in there, and we pull this out. Now, we got to clean this off, and we also have to pull the bearing end cap off and get the hair out from under there. That's very important because that'll cause it to pull more current from the battery, and it won't run as long if these don't spin freely. So we want to make sure to get all the wads of hair out of here. And there's a tool that they give you, or that you get when you buy brushes, that works out really well for this. And that's this guy. This just pushes over the end. It's split so it'll handle different size brushes. And you force it up like this, and it'll take all the hair off. And it takes a fair amount of strength to get it when it's this bad, because apparently this hasn't been done in a little while. But if you pull it all the way, and you may have to do it more than once, it pulls a lot of hair off of here. There we go. You can see how much we got. So we'll try that again. It's usually a lot easier the second time, and you can switch direction. But it does a really good job of cleaning your brushes. Now, you'll still be able to pull some stuff off of here, but you can see that's much better. And the bearing end cap, when put back on, should spin freely like this. We do the same thing with this. I guess it's some kind of pusher, but you see, we got to pull this off and get the hair out from under it. For whatever reason, they tend to accumulate there. So we want to get all this out and make sure everything will spin as freely as possible. We'll get maximum battery life that way. Remember, if it doesn't spin freely, it's going to pull more current. Battery won't last as long. Now, these have square ends, so you have to make sure they seat in or you won't be able to seat your bearing end cap, but that's how it should look when you're done. Same with the other one, spins freely, goes in here, and unless you have it seated correctly in the drive end, you won't be able to seat the bearing end cap. So that's how you take care of these brushes. Now we also have another brush, and they refer to as a side brush, and they must have redesigned this because it's a lot better than it used to be, and I'll explain what I mean when I say that. But let's see. It used to be that a lot of hair would get underneath here. Now we got some hair underneath here, but it used to be so bad that the plastic or nylon gears inside of this reducer would just break off, and it would just kind of wobble around, spin freely, and the motor would run, but it wouldn't turn this. I think they redesigned this to sit more snugly down in here, so that's not a problem. I have replaced the side brush motors on these, and it's a very simple process. I'm going to leave this off because I'm going to show you that. And the last thing we do for basic maintenance is pop this guy out and get all the crap off of here. Okay, human hair, animal hair. So this is all the stuff that we got out of here. It'll run and be a lot more efficient now. And now that we seat this, that spins freely as well. All right, so now that's your basic maintenance. That's all you have to do to keep your Roomba running in top form, in my experience. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to talk about is things I have had to fix on here and how simple or difficult it was depending on the item. Okay, so one of the most common repairs you'll have to do on your Roomba is to replace the side brush motor assembly. That guy looks like this. This is the old one I took out, and it's very simple to replace. There's just 2 screws holding it in, and it necessitates pulling, removing these 4 captive screws, and then this section of the cover comes up. And I want to tell you something very interesting that happens when you do this. Okay. So what usually happens is your battery becomes unseated momentarily, and that will set the clock back to Sunday at midnight. It will not affect the programming, and I'm going to put this back on just to show you, because it's, like I said, a very simple procedure to get this off. But I'm just going to put a couple screws in so I can turn this over and show you what I mean. And let's see here, did we lose our clock? Yep, Sunday 12 a.m., but our schedule is still in place. So if I hold schedule, you can see I have it set between 9, 8. I set it off to go Monday through Friday. So what happens is, if you don't reset your clock, and depending on when you have it set to go off, it may happily wake up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and start trundling around the house, waking you up and wondering what's going on. Be sure to reset the clock. Please don't ask me how I know this. So let's go back into here, take these 2 screws back out. And by the way, the battery is another thing that's a very common thing to replace. I picked up Roombas on the side of the road that just needed a battery. And all you do is pull the old one out, dump the crap out of there, drop the new one in. Just that simple. Now the side brush assembly is a little bit different, but it's just a matter of taking 2 screws out. Let's see here. I'm going to want a smaller Phillips, so let's go to a number 1. And basically, as you can see on the old one here, it's just these 2 captive screws here. And all you have to do to get them out, remove this one. Remember, they're captive, they're not going to come all the way out. And the other one is under there. Nope, I got the wrong one because I loosened one for the wheel, which I has also replaced. Okay, so it comes out like this. All right, this one goes to the wheel. That was the wrong one. As often happens when I'm making a video, I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing because I have a running narrative going. I'll tell you a little secret, I probably would have done it if the video wasn't running. In any event, this is an old side brush motor. This one I think is still okay, but I have replaced them when this just turns freely and kind of rocks around because the nylon gears inside and the reducer have just broken off. Very simple replacement. The cheapest place I actually found to get these is directly from the manufacturer. iRobot had them for $16 the last time I bought one. But as I said, I've also replaced one of these. It was making a lot of noise, and I had picked one up on the side of the road that had other problems beside the battery, so I kept it for parts. And the wheel assembly, even though it was a different model, dropped right in, so I just replaced both of them. The other thing that I have had to replace on Roombas is this gearbox assembly. Now, I've taken them apart and cleaned them because they get dirt inside of them, they get noisy, but you can get the gearbox assembly fairly inexpensively. Again, I had one that was from one that somebody threw out. I just put that one in. Fairly simple process. You have to take the dirt bin off, take the brushes out, and I believe it was these screws here that allowed us to pull it out, and there's a connector you have to get that drives the motor. But that is very simple. So everything in here is pretty modular. To get the wheel assembly out, we take out this screw, and this screw down here, and the wheel assembly comes right out. In order to get this out, we have to take these out, and I believe the entire gearbox assembly here and brush assembly just lifts right out. It's a good opportunity to get the dirt out from under it. There's really not a lot to do on these as far as maintenance goes. It's all very simple. It's a very modular design, well thought out, and I've had very few troubles. Considering that this thing is probably 10 years old, you can see how battle scarred it is. It's been a really good workhorse, and as skeptical as I was, I'm sold. These are great units. So I'm going to put everything back together, and I'm going to talk about some of the kind of novel ways that this thing has been used. Okay, so this table is used for gardening, and the Roomba is just an easy way to clean it up. Let me tell you, I am a lazy man, and if I can do something like this, I will. If I just start it up and let it go around the table. The clip sensors that it has will keep it from going off the edge of the table. It'll just trundle around here and pick up all the dirt. It tends to go in a circle like this when the dirt sensor has been activated. But it'll clean up the whole table. Okay, so the other thing I'll do is we have a lanai or breezeway that runs between the garage where I shoot most of my videos and the house where I edit them. But I'll take the pool brush and I'll make a barrier like this. Now Roomba has something called the invisible wall, and I have to confess I've had varied results in it. Plus it takes C batteries, which I almost never seem to have. So I just do this. The Roomba will hit this and just starts going off in another direction. But it does a really great job out here. It'll clean the whole patio. It'll have to be dumped multiple times because I have 3 cat boxes out here and 5 cats that run around out here doing nothing but shed and sleep, which seems to be their main function in life. During the winter months, we can actually open the house up, and since it opens up onto a screened patio, we can leave the doors open and get a breeze through the house. So when we're running the Roomba, we put a piece of wood here and set the wastebasket in front of it so I don't trip over it again and almost kill myself. You have to make sure you do that. Trip a few times and you'll remember. The other thing I did was I noticed that the Roomba was getting stuck under the couch and love seat, so I took a couple of pieces of 1/2-inch plywood and I screwed them to the bottoms of the feet, and it provided just enough clearance so now the Roomba goes under here and it cleans under the couches. Unfortunately, it occasionally dies under the couches, but still, it was a better solution than finding it stuck and not having any of the dust bunnies cleaned out from under the couch. Okay, the last thing we're going to do before I end this video is set the clock. So we hold down clock and it has to be on. This has gone into a sleep mode where this clean button was not illuminated. I have to make sure that's green. And we hit clock and you'll see it's 12:09 now because it's still running. Today is Sunday. It is 9:04 a.m. And we just let this go. It wraps, so we just have to go past 9 o'clock. Okay, and now that's set. As I showed you before, the schedule never gets lost, but the time of day does. So that completes our video. I'm gonna let it clean up the patio out here while I go sit on my lazy ass. And as always, I thank everyone for watching this, and I like giving back to the community that's given me so much. Thanks a lot, folks.